Check this out. This is a scene from one of my favorite episodes of Stargate SG-1, Lost City. Here's what it looks like in the original DVD release. And here's how it looks in the new Blu-ray release from VEI. Now, the new Blu-ray release looks better, it looks cleaner and sharper, but these episodes haven't been remastered. Instead, they've been upscaled. So what we're going to do in this video is take a look at side-by-side comparisons of all 10 seasons of Stargate SG-1, comparing the original 480p DVDs to the new 1080p upscaled Blu-rays. We're going to try and answer the question, is this new Blu-ray set worth picking up, and is it worth replacing your old DVD collection? Let's check it out. Stargate SG-1 is finally on Blu-ray disc for the very first time. It's a nice collection from VEI, but how does the picture look? For this comparison, I've picked a couple of scenes from each season. I want to look at both the actors on set and also action or visual effects sequences. My computer doesn't have a Blu-ray disc drive, so I captured this footage by running my Sony Blu-ray player through this HDMI capture card. I don't think there's any degradation here since the card is capable of 1080p at 30 frames per second. I also dug out my old DVD player from the garage, so the DVD side of the screen that you're going to see here, this is actually 480p that's being pumped out of a DVD player. This is what's on the disc. It's not benefiting from any of the extra upscaling that comes from your hardware. So if you're playing those DVDs through a Blu-ray player, you're probably benefiting from some hardware upscaling. It's going to look better than the 480p that I'm going to show you here, but it's not going to be HD, not 1080p, not by a long shot. One more caveat here. You're going to want to watch these comparisons on a decent screen. Something like a mobile device, you're not going to be able to see the differences as well, because a small screen doesn't need as many pixels to create an image that looks good to your eye. When we get to Season 8, we'll talk about what's different there. But first, let's start at the beginning. Stargate SG-1 first went in front of cameras in February 1997. For the most part, the live-action elements for seasons 1 through 3 were shot on 16mm film, common for television production at the time. Starting with the third season finale, Nemesis, Stargate switched to 35mm film, the standard for motion pictures and much of modern so-called cinematic television. This was used all the way through season 7. Today, SG-1 has been available on DVD in standard definition for more than 20 years. Recently, the older seasons were upscaled and available with this higher definition picture only on streaming. In the US, specifically only on Amazon Prime. Internationally, we've seen these upscaled episodes also appear on some HD broadcast channels. The new release from VEI is the first time that the series has been available in 1080p high definition to own on home media. Let's be clear about what this is and what it's not. In the 2021 Blu-ray release from Visual Entertainment, we don't have a remastering. That is a very expensive process that would entail going back to the original film elements, doing a new transfer, polishing all the visual effects, and re-editing the episodes start to finish. That's why the remastered editions of shows like Star Trek: The Next Generation look so good. It's true HD from the source. Instead, for this release, Stargate SG-1 has been upscaled. So the source is not the film, it's those same standard definition episodes. They've been processed by magical computer algorithms, which increases the resolution and interpolates the missing pixel data. Jagged pixelated edges are smoothed out. The picture has also been subjected to a process called dynamic noise reduction, or DNR, which aims to clean up visual artifacts and present a smoother image. In VEI's marketing speak, they say this makes for a new, super clean picture. Upscaling has advantages and disadvantages. It can produce an HD picture that looks markedly better than the original DVDs, and it's obviously much less expensive for the studio than spending millions of dollars on a 7 to 10 season remastering project. On the other hand, all that digital polishing can also remove some of the fine detail you want. For example, too much DNR and facial textures can start to look waxy. And some people just like the authentic analog look of film grain. Needless to say, with upscaling, you're just never going to get the quality you would see from a full remastering. Now from this point forward, things are going to start to look a lot better, both on the DVD side and also from the Blu-rays. Because starting with Season 8, production on the Stargate SG-1 switched from 35mm film to HD digital cameras. So the source material that we have to work with is just higher quality. There's more data here, so they don't need to be upscaled. For the show's production in 2004, this was future-proofing. The last 3 years of the show were not actually broadcast in HD. Sci-Fi Channel actually rolled out its HD simulcast in 2007, just as the show was ending. And MGM also didn't release them on HD home media. What we got instead were the same standard definition DVD releases for seasons 8, 9, and 10. Now we assume that VEI has used a native 1080p source here from the digital cameras, at least for the non-CG elements. But the company that put out this Blu-ray set has not responded to Gateworld's requests for information, so we can only guess at what it is we're looking at here. The picture definitely looks better. It's not outside the realm of possibility that VEI has simply applied the same upscaling process to episodes that started at a lower resolution. I think it's probably the 1080p source. Either way, it looks as though VEI has also applied some level of DNR here in order to produce that so-called cleaner picture. There are some clear takeaways from those comparisons that we just looked at. The original DVDs look pretty rough on modern HD televisions. Playing these on a Blu-ray player with its own built-in upscaling will help, but between the lower resolution, the coloring, and the compression artifacts, they just don't look good on modern TVs. I have to admit, I went into this project a bit of an upscaling skeptic, but I've been pleasantly surprised at how good these older episodes look on Blu-ray. The HD upscaling has done a really nice job sharpening the picture. Those jagged pixel edges are mostly gone in the later seasons, and the artifacts, such as the buzzing pixels that are visible on HD TVs, particularly in darker regions of a picture, have been DNR'd into oblivion. Finally, Stargate SG-1 has entered the modern era. Because they're upscaled and not remastered though, the Blu-ray picture is only going to be so good. A lot depends on the quality of the source material, and upscaling Season 7, or polishing Season 8, is always going to look a lot better than what they can do with Season 1. The upres on the first few seasons just isn't as successful in generating what the average consumer would say is a picture that looks HD. Some shots look clean, they look better than my old DVDs, but also a little fuzzy. Characters that are just talking to one another in a conference room usually sharpen better than fast-moving action or visual effects. So in those first few seasons, the visual effects sequences are more likely to be a little more blurry. VEI has even inserted a disclaimer when the disc loads up to tell you that they could only do so much with the older stuff. I recognize that some of this is maybe nitpicking. If you're not an AV nerd, you probably don't care as much about a loss of texture detail from too much DNR. The Blu-ray images look cleaner and sharper, and they are aimed at a mass audience. And if that's you, you're definitely going to get a better picture with the Blu-ray edition. I think this release, for all its flaws, is a real step up. But better is also kind of relative. Because this is the best that the show has ever looked, it's easy to forget that it could look even better. Forget about 1080, we're now in the 4K era. As nice as these episodes look, all things considered, the limitations of digital processing still suggest Stargate SG-1's need for a proper remastering. Without that, we've probably hit the ceiling here with how good this show can look. So what do you think of what you've seen here? Give us a comment below and let us know if you plan on picking up Stargate SG-1 or maybe all 3 series on Blu-ray. Also let me know if you'd like to see a comparison video like this for Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe. Those shows have already seen Blu-ray releases and they were shot in HD, so the comparisons are not going to be as dramatic. If you'd like to support Gateworld on YouTube, give this video a like and also share it with a friend who you think might be interested in Stargate on Blu-ray. If you want to see more about the new Blu-ray release, here's a video I did unpacking the whole thing, showing you what the packaging looks like, what's inside the box, what the discs look like, and comparing it to the old DVD collector's edition. Thanks for watching.